Back in 1284, in a small German town called Hamelin, something happened that people still talk about today. It's a story that starts like a fairy tale, but ends with questions that might send chills down your spine. Welcome to the mysterious legend of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. Picture this. Hamelin in the 13th century, a quiet little town by the Weser River, surrounded by green hills and thick forests. Life there was peaceful until disaster struck. The town was overrun by rats. These weren't just a few rats here and there. They were everywhere, crawling through homes, destroying food supplies, gnawing on furniture, and spreading disease. The people were desperate. They tried everything: traps, poison, even calling in hunters. But nothing worked. The rats just kept coming, and the town was on the verge of collapse. Then, one day, a strange man appeared in the town square. He was tall, dressed in bright, colorful clothes, and carried a small flute. Nobody knew who he was or where he came from. He called himself the Pied Piper and claimed he could rid the town of its rat problem. But he had one condition. The townspeople had to pay him a generous reward. Desperate for a solution, they quickly agreed. The very next morning, the Pied Piper began his work. He raised his flute to his lips and started playing an unusual tune. It wasn't just music, it was almost magical. And then something incredible happened. The rats began pouring out of their hiding places. Hundreds, thousands of them scurrying out of homes, cellars, and streets. The Pied Piper walked through the town playing his flute, and the rats followed him in a massive swarm. He led them all the way to the Weser River, stepped into the water, and kept playing. One by one, the rats jumped into the river and drowned. The town was saved, but the story doesn't end there. When the Pied Piper returned to claim his reward, the townspeople refused to pay him. They laughed at him, saying they didn't need him anymore. Why pay for a job that was already done? The Pied Piper didn't argue. He simply looked at them with a cold, angry expression and said, "You'll regret this." Then he walked away. A few days passed, and life in Hamelin went back to normal. The people quickly forgot about the Piper and his warning. But early one morning, something unimaginable happened. The Pied Piper returned. This time he played a different melody, one that was cheerful and bright. But instead of rats, it was the children of Hamelin who responded. Boys and girls of all ages came out of their homes, enchanted by the music, and began to follow him. The townspeople were horrified. They tried to call their children back, even grabbed them, but it was no use. The kids were completely under the Piper's spell. The Pied Piper led the children out of the town and toward a mountain called Koppenberg. When they reached the base of the mountain, something incredible happened. The mountain opened up, and the Piper and all the children walked inside. Then the mountain closed behind them. The children were gone. Hamelin was left silent and empty. According to the legend, one child was left behind, a boy who had a limp and couldn't keep up. He told the townspeople what he had seen: the music, the children following the Piper, and how they disappeared into the mountain. The townspeople searched far and wide for their children, but they were never seen again. This haunting story has been told for centuries. Was it just a legend, or was there some truth to it? Historians have debated its meaning. Some think it symbolizes a plague or a tragic event like a mass migration. Others suggest the children may have been kidnapped or even sold into slavery. Whatever the case, the story of the Pied Piper remains one of Europe's most enduring mysteries. Even today, the town of Hamelin keeps the legend alive with festivals and tours dedicated to this eerie tale. So, who was the Pied Piper? A mystical savior, a vengeful trickster, or simply a figure of folklore?